recorded on this. Perfect. Hello. Welcome to your Thursday training with the Bay Empire. I'm so excited to be here. It's been a minute. But today, what we're going to be focusing on is something that, we do every single day in our business. And it doesn't have to be related to this business, it's any business in general. But, we're all here to grow. We're all here to learn some real network marketing skills and skills that we're going to be applying every single day, right? And, today is something, a topic that we're going to talk about that you're going to be applying throughout your whole career. Like you're already doing it right now. It's just maybe you didn't really think so deep into it, right? Because, we talk about this all the time, but the fortune is in the follow-up, right? And that's today's topic. It's one of the skills of network marketing. Eric Worre, his GoPro book, guys, we all know what this is, right? But he talks about the 7 skills of network marketing and following up with your prospects is a major one. It's a major one. And, and hold on, let me just admit all these people. Thank you. It's a major one, right? And, today I want to talk about like 4 major concepts in the following up process, right? What does following up, and I want to make this a little bit interactive. I don't know if you guys, it's been a while since you got my training, but I like to make it interactive. But what do you think following up means? Like, when we're talking to somebody, obviously we send them a video, we're connecting with them, we're asking questions, but what does a follow-up mean to you? Like, what are you doing to say, hey, I'm going to follow up with this person? What do we usually do? Anyone? Obviously, I'll help you guys out. But what are we doing to follow up with somebody? Like, what's the action that we're taking? Anyone? Calling them? Yes, Priscilla. That's one for sure. Reconnecting, reminding them on their goals. Yeah, Laura, reconnecting, DM. Yeah, so technically it's like we're setting a reminder, like we're actually scheduling an appointment with them, right? We're gonna, we send them our video and say, okay, you're done watching it, great. You have your questions that you're asking them, and they're like, okay, well, what's the next step, right? Let's jump on a call. When can we set up a call? Right? So set a calendar and reminder. We make appointments every single day with anything that we want, like your license, your doctor's appointments, hair appointments, it's a natural part of our daily life, right? So set a calendar reminder, right? And be professional about it. Show up, like do what you say you're going to do so that people take you seriously, right? Put respect on your name, put respect on your time, right? And that's the number one concept of starting this whole process of following up, right? So that's your number one thing. I want you guys to take notes, right? Concept 1, he talks about 4, so that's the first one. Concept 2 is anytime we're talking to a prospect, we're technically, we're exposing ourselves. That's an exposure, right? It's an exposure. Your first contact, your second contact, your third contact, however many contacts, it's called an exposure. So the only reason why you set up a call is so that you can set up another call, right? I don't know if you guys have heard this saying, but a lot of the leaders here talk about it, but don't end a call without setting up another call, right? And that's the whole point of it. And honestly, when I first started in network marketing, I used to do this all the time. I send my video to somebody, and after I have my follow-up, and I'll ask this question. I'm like, oh, so what do you think? Or what did you think? Right? That's like the worst thing that you can do. When I ask, hey, what do you think? I already know that my prospect's brain is going, okay, I'm a little confused. Maybe let me tap into a part of my brain that is going to start sending objections. Oh, I don't know. Oh, I don't know if that, like you're opening up that window for them to feel like, oh my God, I don't think this is right for me. Right? And that was the biggest mistake that I ever did. And a lot of network marketers do that. I don't know if you guys can agree, but I'm sure we've all been there. We've all asked that question. So what do you think? Right? We'd want to refrain from that question, right? If anything, if they say, hey, I want to think about it, or I don't know, I want to talk to a spouse, be professional, right? Be professional and be like, I totally understand, talk to your spouse about it. And why don't you come back? Let's set up another call so that we can go over those questions that you have again, right? You want to continue creating that opportunity to speak with your prospects, right? You want to make them comfortable. Our goal when you get on a phone call or a Zoom call with your prospects is to educate them, right? Educate them and help them understand what it is that you're trying to do. How are you trying to help them? How are you trying to educate them on this opportunity, right? So that they can go back and make an informed decision, right? And that's the goal. Keep the process live. Don't just, say, okay, well, they say, oh, I have to think about it or whatever. And you're like, okay, no problem. And that's one thing that we always do. We say, okay, no problem. And then we forget about them. We don't follow up. But that's where we are going wrong, right? And so Eric Worre, if you guys have not read GoPro, he talks about this in detail. There's, a few examples, but highly recommend it because these are network marketing skills that everybody has, right? These are just the basic skills, and we keep it simple. We don't complicate the process. So he talks about in the book, there's 2 scenarios of following up, right? And to see if they reviewed the material. So you're going to say, hey, what questions do you have? Or how can I help answer some questions? That is a great way to open up a conversation, right? Number 1, they're going to say, no, I didn't get a chance to review it. Right. And you said, okay, well, I understand life gets busy. Hey, we're all busy. Right. But when could you think you could for sure review the information that I gave you? Right. And this is your opportunity to say, and they're setting the appointment. They're the ones telling you when they're available next, because you're just giving them an opportunity to come to you with more questions. Right. So once that happens, you say, hey, I understand life gets busy. When can we set up our next call? This is your exposure, right? And if you do the second call and they still are not sure, well, you set up another one. Guys, on average, and these are stats, it takes 4 to 6 exposures until someone actually says, okay, I'm ready. There are those one-off, customers and prospects that are really like, yeah, I'm so like, I'm ready to do this. Sign me up right now. And those obviously are easy and they're great. But majority of the time, you're going to have to follow up multiple times. And you're going to have to repeat the process, right? And you're going to have to be professional. So sometimes, we kind of get like bitter, right? We'll start to react like, well, whatever, right? We kind of get a little bit more attitude-y. You want to refrain from doing that because essentially they're just waiting for an opportunity for you to react that way, right? It's like, okay, well, clearly, this is not for me. That, she just confirmed that this is not the type of environment or the type of people that I want to work with, right? So be professional. And the other option is, yes, I did review it, right? I did review it, but, I have some questions, right? And you said, okay, no problem, but what did you like best? And, where are your questions? When they're asking you questions, that's like your clue to understand, hey, where are their blind spots? Where are they unsure about? What is it that I could maybe educate them on and share my experience on that is going to help them fill that blind spot, right? So you take, obviously, you want to say, hey, if a prospect says, I love the products, I love this or whatever, yes, build on that, build on that. But you also want to pay attention to where they lack education, right? And that, again, is if you can't answer those questions right away, or, if the prospect is busy, you set an appointment for the next call, the next exposure, right? And you want to pay attention if they say, oh my God, I really enjoyed the financial freedom, the aspect of that. So then you expand on the opportunity, right? Talk about the opportunity and relate to them, right? Eric Worre says there's a question that he always asks, which I think will be useful here, but he'll ask a question that says, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being 0 interest and 10 being ready to get started right away, where are you right now? Okay. And any answer above 1 is good, because it tells you that they're interested, that there's some interest in there, right? Most likely people will land between the 5 or the 6. But no matter what the number is, right? You ask, well, how can I help you get to a higher number, right? How can I help you get to a higher number? So that's a very simple question. And a lot of the times they're going to answer it for you. And the answer is going to be very positive, right? And then again, make sure you listen and you take what they're saying to you, and that's an opportunity for you to have a next exposure or to follow up on another call or provide them with that information to fill in that blind spot. And if their number is high enough and you want to, it's enough to close, then you close them, right? We always get this all the time. And I know you guys can agree with me. It's like, oh, I'll let you know, or I'll get back to you. I need to think about it, right? And then poof, they're gone because we forget. We just kind of say, okay, well, they're not interested and we don't bother following up with them. But that's where we need to change our approach, right? It's just how we're asking the questions. Be professional. You're in control of the conversation. And when you're in control and you come from a place of, hey, I'm just trying to educate you, then that respect grows, that relationship grows, okay? Another concept that he talks about is it takes an average, and I said this before, it was the 4 to 6 exposures for a person to join. But what we don't understand is we forget to follow up, right? So all that is like, we miss that whole part. We miss the whole part because we think, oh, maybe it's too much work. But the fortune is in the follow-up. And it's because they'll start by saying, I don't know, to then you answering questions. It brings their guards down. And then in that process, you build a relationship. They start to trust you, right? They feel like they can get to know you. And so that relationship changes and the attitude changes along with it, right? And honestly, in that process, like I'm not saying, schedule a call today and then next week your second exposure is set up, or 2 weeks later, your third exposure is set up. You don't want to have so much gap in between because people are busy. We all are busy. We have 100 things going on every single day. And to keep someone interested, you want to make sure that you're keeping your exposures tight knit enough, but not like all in 1 week either, hop on a Zoom. Oh, we have a 3-way. Oh, we have a live event. Oh, whatever. Like you don't want to bombard them either, right? But keep a healthy relationship. And I know for me personally, like even I don't like salespeople, especially ones that are pushy. Right off the bat, I'm like, I'm not interested, right? Like you're pressuring me too much. But if they play a little hard to get, and it's like any other relationship, when you play hard to get, you're like, oh, your guards are down. It's like you're trying to get that boo that you've been trying to get, but just playing hard to get. It's the same thing, right? It keeps things a little bit more interesting, right? So keep your exposures, pretty close throughout the process, right? And, once you kind of get, used to that concept, right? It'll help you maintain that relationship better, right? And you won't feel like you have to start over every time you speak to somebody. You speak to that one prospect, right? So give it space. It's like prospecting a crush. You don't want to be too desperate. Play a little hard to get, right? And obviously, in that process, you're going to come across many, many questions, many objections along the way, right? And that's just the normal process of that, right? Your prospects usually ask you questions, and I've got this, especially from like as a woman dealing with males, right? You'll get questions because they want to act smart, or they want to, they're testing you in a way, right? So obviously you want to know, your stuff, and this is where you rely on your leaders. This is why you have leaders that are here to help you. That we go on 3 ways. Why do we do all this? Is so that you can see our posture, you can see how we speak to people, right? And you can see also how we handle objections, right? So there's a learning curve when it comes with that. And as you guys get more experience, obviously that comes with time and experience, right? But it's so important. And don't act defensive. Don't act defensive as someone, comes to you with objections, right? And you always have to keep in mind that the goal is to educate and to help understand, right? And we're not on the other side of an argument. You're not trying to have an argument with your prospect, right? You're there to close their blind spot and to help them understand, right? And objections, like I said, are clues to identify where those blind spots are. There's some specific tactics that you can use to overcome objections, right? But the concept, you have to focus on the concept itself, right? There's some tactics, obviously, but the concepts, and if you keep that in mind, it will really help you. So what does that mean? What does that really mean? Like, what type of tactics are you talking about, Sonia? So objections fall into two different categories. I hope you guys are writing this down, but it's usually, they have limiting beliefs because they're like, hey, I don't think I can become successful. Who has felt that way? I felt that way when I first started. I'm like, I don't think I could do this. Like, I don't think I know you're successful, and I look at my, my leader, I'm like, you're successful, but I don't know if I can. So that's a limiting belief, right? And that's a personal one. And also, a lot of people don't have education on the network marketing industry. They don't know if network marketing can really help them achieve their goals, right? Thinking into results. I know you guys have, we constantly talk about, the questions and stuff like that, what you should be asking your prospects, but there is a method to the madness, right? You want to help them understand the career itself, the profession itself, but yeah, paint that picture. How can network marketing help them achieve their goals, right? And the best way to relate to people is to let them know that you're just like them. We talk about this all the time, right? Like you trust people that you can relate to, that have a similar background, right? That come from the same, barriers and the same, situation as you, right? And that's why people, when you're building this career, people want to hear your story. It's the best way that you can relate to them, right? Because you'll come from a perspective of, I've had the same doubts, I had the same questions and the same fears, but I overcame it. And so when you're going through, your follow-ups and you're getting these objections and whatever, just keep that concept in mind that you could relate to your prospect. And if you don't have a story that relates to them, use someone else's, right? Use Melanie's, use Alina's, use Sabrina's, use people's story, right? And leverage that, because we always know stories sell, right? And your story will help you overcome these objections. That feel, felt, sound concept, feel, felt, sound. I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but yeah, when a prospect, I was talking to Mel about this, when the prospect has objections, you respond with, yeah, I know how you feel. I felt the same way, but here's what I found, and you can modify it based on your story, your prospect story, so that it's more relatable. All right, share some of that pain. Tell them how you solved your problem. We are problem solvers, guys, but that's what I mean about focusing on that concept. In every objection that we're going to get, there's a problem for you to solve, right? So I'm not going to take too much of your time because I know Mel has an amazing training for you. She has a lot to say, but I want you guys to keep this in mind, right? Following up is more than just setting an appointment. It's more than just, I have to because I want to close this prospect. Think about how you can relate to them and be real. And I'm telling you that relationship, that energy that you bring to your conversation is what's going to help you close them, right? And as you keep doing it, you're become faster. You're probably going to find ways to get your point across and to close them faster, right? It may not take you that long. But all of us are fairly big, we're fairly new in this industry. I'm 2 years in and I'm still fairly new, right? You're always gonna go back and learn from, hey, what did I say here? And why did they not talk, why was I left on red? What could I have done differently, right? So there's power in that. Follow up, make appointments, exposure to exposure, and keep in mind, if you get a no first time, it's okay. It's okay. Right? There's going to be many more opportunities, right? And make sure that you are always in that person's exposure, right? Follow up, right? So I know I wanted to kind of go over some other limiting beliefs, but we always get them, right? And network marketing, we always get, oh, is this an MLM or is this a pyramid scheme or whatever? And sometimes we're like we get really defensive. We're like, oh, your whole organization is a pyramid scheme. I used to say that because I work corporate. I'm like, corporations are pyramid schemes, but I'm like, okay, I need to stop doing that because I seem a little it's a little personal to me, right? But when you approach it in a different way, right? When you approach it in a different way, it sounds different. Like, for example, in the book, there was an example here that I wanted to share with you guys, but the whole MLM thing, right? So it's a pyramid scheme, whatever. Even Eric Roy says that. It's like people go a little crazy when they hear these questions, right? They're like, well, every corporate issue in the world is like that, like the government and whatever. So instead of going crazy on your prospects, right, it's important to understand where the question comes from, right? So this is really important. Maybe they had a bad experience. Maybe they had a friend who had a bad experience, right? The friend had a bad experience. Maybe they wanted to join this, amazing opportunity, but they saw that their friend wasn't successful, or they maybe were part of something like this and they weren't led the right way. They weren't part of a great leadership team, right? That could help them, right? Yeah, exactly. Don't make it personal, because it's not about you. It's their blind spot, right? And that just means it gives you an opportunity to educate, right? To educate. So he goes, it's important to understand where this question comes from. And from his experience, it's usually because they knew someone who joined and they weren't successful, right? Because a lot of companies, let's be honest, will market an opportunity like it's a lottery ticket. It's not. It's not a get rich quick scheme, right? And in those scenarios, if you've had some bad taste in your mouth, yeah, that's going to turn someone off. But ask the questions, right? So ask questions without emotions, but like, hey, what happened? Wait a minute, what happened? Can you tell me more? Were you involved in network marketing at some point, right? And once they start answering these questions, automatically those objections and like the stiffness, their defenses come down, right? And they're more like, okay, relaxed. Okay, let's have a conversation. And again, you're asking questions to fill in that blind spot. So it's really important to understand that. And like Alina, don't make it personal, because it's not, right? Instead, just be like, do you think, like, especially if it's like the MLM thing or if it's network marketing in general, he goes, say, do you think network marketing was a problem to that person's success, right? And then they'll probably be like, or do you think it was, maybe the wrong timing? What if someone says, hey, maybe it was the wrong timing, even for themselves? Maybe it was the wrong timing for me to join. Maybe I wasn't at a place in life where I could dedicate the time to learn about the career, right? And so once you ask these questions in a non-threatening way, right? In a non-like attacking way, you're going to get a really different response, right? So keep the conversation alive, keep the follow-ups alive, ask the question. The goal is to educate and to understand, right? So that you can fill in their blind spots, right? So these are the main concepts that I want you guys to think about. And I apply them. Sometimes, you forget. Sometimes, so many things happen in our life, personal stuff too, right? Trust me. I'm like, yeah, a lot of things happen. And sometimes, yeah, you're in a bad mood or whatever. Something comes out that you don't want it to come out that way. And it's okay. It happens. But just keep that in mind. Don't take it personally. But that being said, I'm done for my part. I hope you guys got some value. I want to keep it as short as possible. I know I went a little bit over, but I'm gonna hand it off to Mel, our newest Sapphire. And I know she has so much of personal experience. She juggles a lot. She still works, full time, and she's absolutely killing it. So I can't wait to hear from her. You guys are gonna get some really big value from Mel. So Mel, take it over. It is all you, girl.
Thank you so much, Sonia. Can we drop some ones in the chat for Sonia? Please, some ones.
Thank you.
Such a great leader and a badass. Really, truly. I took a lot of good notes, especially with the objectives and the blind spots. That was so good. So thank you so much for that awesome training, Sonia. So I do have some tips to provide today, guys. And a lot of them are a lot of the personal tips that I've been able to follow to even kind of get to the Sapphire ranking. My tips are more so surrounding around what do you do when you have reached out to somebody or they reached out to you first and you've reached back out to them and then they're just go. Like you do not hear from them again. Like, how do you handle that? How do you navigate around that? So the first thing I want to say, guys, is And this is a lot of good information for maybe people who are like really trying to get into this, kind of like new to this, kind of like trying to find their footing and their grounding around this. When you follow up with people, okay, watch the story that you are telling yourself around the follow up. Because you can't follow up with the energy like that, I'm doing too much. Because then you start creating all of these stories in your head that really prevents you from stepping up into your full greatness and full power. And so some of those stories may sound like they don't want to be bothered. They seen my first two messages, they didn't say anything back, they didn't respond. They're not interested. They didn't open my message yet. And honestly, guys, we don't know what people have going on. But no matter what, you show up. You show up. And a lot of people, or some people, may give up after that first or second follow-up because of the stories that they may tell themselves. And so when somebody reaches out to me personally for the first time wanting more information, and I'm in that first connection, okay, 24 hours, I am following up. In the next day, like I am fully following up, right? If they have not said anything back and, left me on red, I'm watching the story that I'm telling myself, okay, because 3 days after that, I'm coming back with another follow-up, right? So let's say they left me on red again. They still haven't said anything back. Now it's time for me to offer that genuine connection, right? And a lot of the business that I do is inside of my Telegram channel. So now I am going to video chat you. I'm not going to send you another script. I'm not going to send you another text message. You're going to see my face. You're going to feel my energy, and I'm going to genuinely connect with you, because you have to remember, guys, they are here for a reason. They reached out to you for a reason, right? So it's up to you to now find out what that reason is, to find out what the problem is that you need to solve. So when you're thinking about genuine connection, you're just reaching out very genuine, saying, hey, didn't know if you had an opportunity to kind of review over some of the information that I sent to you, but you know what? I want to get to know you a little bit better. Like, tell me a little bit more about you. Where are you from? Like, how old are you? Do you have kids? What are you doing right now in life? Do you work? Do you have a 9 to 5? Do you love it? Like, what are some of your dreams? What are some of your goals? Like, what do you want to be in life? What is that thing like you just pray to God about? Like, I wish I could do this, or I wish I could have this, right? And you just go get really genuine and really like connect with them on that basis. And that starts to open people up. And following up really shows that you care. You really, really care about more than just the sale or a rank or the commission, and that you're interested in building a relationship like with that person. And so when you follow up from a place of genuine connection, people feel that energy, and people can tell when you genuinely care. And so this in turn helps the customer to trust you more. And it shows how much you care. It builds that like, know, and trust factor with you and the potential customer prospect. So when you're following up, guys, don't in your mind for a moment think that you are doing too much. Don't think that you're doing too much. No, be too much. Be the embodiment of be. Be the embodiment of better experience. Be too confident. Be too amazing. Be too authentic. Be too powerful. Be too enough. You be the person that brings the better experience to the prospect or to the customer before they even get into the platform. And you decide that you are going to set this world to flames by leaving a lasting impression before they even come into the actual platform. So when you truly believe in what you are doing, you won't feel like the follow-up is worrisome or like you're doing too much or being too much, okay? And you have to think, you were once the person in their shoes before you got here. You were once in their shoes. And you know that once you got connected to this platform, the leadership, the culture, The people, how we show up for each other has completely transformed me, you. You are not the same person as you are than when you first came in here. And people need this. So if you see what can happen to you and what your experience is, imagine what can happen for someone else. So you want to always keep that in mind. And you have to know, like, I am the beginning of the answer to someone's problem, to someone's prayer, right? So unless somebody tell you, I'm not interested, like, you just need to stop. Remove me from your list. There is still opportunity there. And if they do not tell you to, if they do tell you to stop, okay, that doesn't mean anything about you as a person. So unless they're just telling you, like, you just need to cut it out, there is still opportunity there. And the fortune truly, truly, truly is really in the follow-up. And I want to tell you a personal story of how I know that the fortune is in the follow-up. Because the night before Rome, guys, okay, the night before Rome, I remember it was an hour and a half left in the cycle. Like, literally, it was like we only had an hour and a half left. And I still needed like 3 bundle 4s to even meet Sapphire. I still need it. So I'm like, oh my God, I still need like 3 bundle 4s. I'm just like, you got an hour and a half left. The cycle is about to close. And a part of me was like, Mel, you know what? You did your best. You just need to be grateful. You did a good thing by, making it to consultant. Just be happy with where you are. Just be grateful with where you are. You fought your best fight. You ran your best race. But then there was another part of me that was like, did you do all that you could? Did you do all that you could? And so this is how I know that the fortune is going to follow up. Because when I faced that truth about myself, Mel, did you really do all that you could? I said, you know what? I can do more. So it was like, it fueled me. So you know what I did? Fortune is going to follow up. I went all the way back to June. Now we got an hour left in this cycle. I go all the way back to June. I am genuinely reaching out and connecting to people. I'm not thinking in my mind, oh my God, it's June. They've forgotten all about me. They're going to be like, who the heck is this girl? Like, all of those stories, I killed them. I dismantled them. I don't care that it's June and we're now in September. Hey, I'm following up with you. I'm genuinely connecting. I'm connecting in and checking in with you. See if you're still interested. How can I help you? How can we connect? What it is it that you need? What's your story? What's your struggle? What's your problem? All the way back in June, all the way back in July. You know what, guys? That's my testimony, because the fortune is in the follow-up. Because with like an hour left in the cycle, I got those last 3 people in. And I'm trying to tell you, if I would have given up, if I would have said this person doesn't care, they didn't respond in the first place, it's been too many months, they're not worried about me, they have moved on to something else, they're doing other things in life, I would have never made it. So I had to confront my own fears. And it was such a good feeling to know that, and it's will be a good feeling for you to know that you stood true, tall, and powerful, and courageous, and brave, and knowing who you are, and allowing the fortune to be in the follow-up. So those are actually my tips for today. I hope that was really, really, really helpful for you guys. Sonia has so many great tips. I took so many notes. So I hope that my tips helped you today. So those tips, again, guys, was more so for people who are egging you, like who are not saying anything back to you at all. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to go back to them. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Let me just see everybody. Thank you, guys. That's it for today. I hope you guys, like I said, took so many notes. And yeah, let's just kill this, like every week we're coming to you guys with some skills that you can implement today. Like today, everything that you learned, with your notes, try a different approach, especially if you've been struggling with connecting with people and actually, following up with them and building that rapport. Try it out, implement it. And I promise you it's going to change the game. So thank you guys. Have a great day and we'll see you next time.